First of all, I want to thank you all for your prayers and your thoughts and your donations. I got emails that said, I am praying for you and Dick and your daughter and her husband as you're in Florida doing what we felt was the feet and hands of Jesus, somebody told me. And I found that a very interesting comment. As most of you know, we have a connection in Florida, so it's kind of where Dick and I picked to be able to do what we could to help the victims of hurricanes. We have many places. We have Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, Mexico. This has been a year that has been very, very detrimental to so many people, their homes, their lives, their children. But we had a connection down there, so we went, and Pam, our daughter, and Brian, our son-in-law, also worked with, and some friends, they volunteer a lot to do different things. So we had a place to start. So Dick and I went to Florida several weeks ago with cash. And we decided what we were going to do. The first week we were there, we did a lot of food distribution in East Naples. You will see the first pictures on the table back there. We were fortunate enough to get rain. It seems to rain a lot, and it's raining a lot from the outer bands of all the hurricanes that have come through the area. So we were fortunate enough to have a canopy of a gas station in East Naples, which is where a lot of the families live that work in the fields. They are the ones that pick your strawberries and your oranges and those kinds of things. And they had a canopy. The service station was closed, but we were fortunate enough to be able to get out of the rain. And we bought and distributed just a lot of food. Things they could use, 2 rolls of toilet paper per family, 1 roll of paper toweling per family. I mean, it was very interesting. The Red Cross was there, Harry Chapin Food Bank was there. There were just a lot of different organizations. They got connected with this through a church called Faith Assembly that sort of rounds this all out. As Pastor said this morning, anxieties every day. You have never seen anxieties with someone who doesn't know how to feed their children. How their house trailers in a trailer park are still sitting in a foot of water. Where the mold is growing up the walls. So we have a purpose. We don't know what it is when those things happen, but I laughingly often say to people, I wish God would send me an email, but he never does. We have to trust in him that he's doing what he's doing for us. So we did a lot of that on the first weekend. And the second week, we shopped a lot more. I cleaned out, between Pam, I, and Dick and Brian, we cleaned out $3 Tree stores of every spray bottle that contained bleach. Because mold is a huge problem when the walls are wet and it keeps raining. So we went to Everglades City. You'll see Everglades City, Immokalee, East Naples, and a few other towns are the ones that have really been hit hard. They're still sitting in water. They sit very low, and with the rain that keeps coming, it's just not draining away. So the need is still very, very important. So we went and we bought blue buckets at the dollar store. You'll see pictures back there. And in them, we put a bottle of spray cleaner with bleach, a toilet brush, Lysol toilet bowl cleaner, a package of disposable gloves, and other cleaning supplies. And there's a picture back there. My daughter and husband were volunteered. They loaded up a trailer, and we took a lot of cleaning supplies down there. We took hygiene kits. Someone was gracious enough to donate a case of 100-gallon Ziploc bags. So you'll see pictures back there, shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush. The dentist my daughter works for donated a case of toothpaste. We collected many things, a comb. When your home is gone, the things we take for granted when we walk in the bathroom in the morning weren't there. And many of these children didn't have the necessary things they needed. So we put together school supply kits. Again, I don't think the dollar stores in Cape Coral have any crayons left. But we did crayons and books. CenturyLink is down there for a cable, and they're changed their logo. And their office is next to my daughter's. Guess what? We got 100 black duffel bags with a spiral notebook, pencils and so forth, with the old logo on we were able to use for some of the school supplies. When the word gets out, it's amazing how people will give and help you with things that you need. You'll see a picture back there in Everglades City where we took many of these, all the items the second week. Pam works with a gal named Crystal, and there's several other people in her office. They had a trailer. It all got loaded up. And you will see a picture back there of a cross. It is what is left of the church from the tornado, or the hurricane. The cross stands, and they gather around it to pray. But the building is gone. So they need to start over with somewhere to worship. There's so many things that are impacted by one hurricane after another that has hit the southern part of our country this year. The funny part is, as the pastor said this morning, they are grateful for what they have. These kids came in, and we at the last minute in many of our shoppings, we brought at Sam's Club 4 of those big boxes where they have those individual servings of Cheetos and Doritos and things. So we had 96 of those little bags to distribute. 2 per child, 2 per child. Oh, they were so happy. They don't have anything. You got to remember when the water hit like that, those fields were underwater. These people live paycheck to paycheck at best. There was no income coming in. This was a big treat to them. A lot of us take that kind of thing for granted. So the funny part is they were so happy to get that. Here they are, their house is underwater, and the world isn't going real great. And they were happy children to get what we were able to buy and to help with your donations. I think it's important to remember, and I thought of it a million times, I know Dick did, we all did, that God is with us and them all the time. When I saw that cross in Everglades City, the picture of it that Crystal sent back, she actually saw that, God is there. He's everywhere. There's a reason for this, we just don't know what it is. So, the third weekend shows up, and we're getting ready to come back at the end of that week. And there is a gentleman named Joe, you'll see his picture back there, who pulled his food truck trailer, it's a fairly large one, from Minnesota, because he felt he had a need to help people. He owns a business called Finer Meats and Eats, and there's several around the Midwest, but he happens to be out of Minnesota. And he is serving meals for 500, warm meals, for 500 people a week. That costs money. And so Dick and I went to Sam's Club, and we had a cart full, and then we had one of those long things you pull along that you put big stuff on. We filled it up with donations. We took 50 pounds of rice. We took 12 huge packages of pasta sauce. Just a lot of things that he could use in his food truck trailer to feed people. He said, if you bring it, I'll figure out a way to use it because I'm a cook. And he did. He's still down there working. So that is in Everglades City. At the end of the week, we came back on Friday. On Thursday, we had a few bucks left. So we went to the Harry Chapin Food Bank, which is a huge organization down there. It's got to be, what, 4 city blocks? It's just huge. And they have, I can't begin, 50, 75 trucks that they take to the individual food bank places in each city, and they distribute the food. Harry Chapin doesn't actually distribute it. My daughter's volunteered inside picking in there, and she said, you just can't believe it, it's so big. They don't think in terms of a can of beans, they think in terms of pallets. It's a huge place. So we took the last of the dollars and we wrote a check and we gave it to the Harry Chapin Food Bank. Because after the first week, their shelves were pretty bare. because they sent everything out they could to help the local food banks feed people. I cannot tell you what the experience feels like to be able to do something like this. And I did it, Dick and I did it, and our daughter and our son-in-law and other people that pitched in from a church called Faith Christian Assembly, to be able to help with donations people in dire need. On the second week, they put together 1,000 hot meals in like the styrofoam clamshells. You take home your leftovers when you go to a restaurant. And they went to feed as many as they could, the people that came with trucks. You'll see the electric company trucks, a picture back there. The ones with the big boom. Most of them had no electricity after a week. There were trucks from everywhere, Minnesota, North Dakota, Vermont. And so they took hot meals to all the people working in these trucks. And they took them to all the volunteers that are out there helping people trying to put their life back together. And then what was left, they distributed to people that just don't have anything to eat. I sent some of you an email that just broke my heart. That there was a lady who was sitting in her car in Everglades City, and she was in tears. And Crystal and her husband Nick pulled up behind her. And they said, they were distributing some of these hot meals. And they said, is there anything we can do to help you? And she said, well, my house is down the road, and I'm afraid to go and look because everything around here is sitting in water. So they said, we'll follow you. So they followed her, and especially Crystal is a very strong Christian. She said, we'll pray with you. They pulled up in front of her house, and it was one of the hundreds that are wrapped in orange condemned tape. It was condemned. And when you're not, it was sitting in water. And when anything's condemned, you're not supposed to go beyond the tape. But in a situation like this, a lot of people don't follow the rules. And so they went with her into the house. And she's a local artist that's pretty well known in the area. And she supports herself and her husband, who's very ill, with her paintings that she sells. The walls were mold growing up the walls. Every painting was ruined hanging in her house. Her supplies are gone. A lot of people, why God lets it happen, He hasn't given me an answer. But they see a situation like this where they can go in and see what they can get for nothing. But most of her painting supplies were gone. Someone had taken them. And she sat there and she cried, and she cried, and she cried. And they gave her a hot meal and prayed with her, and that's all you can do. But your donations and your prayers for people in Texas and in Florida and all the different places, Puerto Rico is in such dire straits, are so important. Because I truly believe that God was always with us, and He will always be with us when we have these difficult times. And Dick and I were just fortunate enough to have the right connection to be able to go to Florida and do a little part of the huge Red Cross, Harry Chapin, the churches, what they're doing to try and bring these areas back to be able to function. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you.